Mega Starmie. Hello everybody, how are we all doing today? On this fine Wednesday evening. Is 5 o'clock evening or is 5 o'clock afternoon? In my mind, 5 o'clock is when evening begins. Afternoon is any point that is afternoon. And then of course, 5 o'clock is when evening begins. That's just my opinion. So today, perhaps my most unhinged stream yet, I will be drawing Mega Starmie. I will probably draw other things as well. I don't know how long I can keep up the Mega Starmie enthusiasm, but for now, I am struck almost exclusively with the urge to draw Mega Starmie. I just saw it and I thought it was funny, and I was like, all right, time to do an art stream, but it's gonna specifically be a Mega Starmie art stream because I'm a fucked up guy. I'm a fucked up little creature. So first thing I think it's appropriate, considering this is a Street Fighter themed channel, is I'm going to draw Mega Starmie doing a Shoryuken. So this is like his fist, right? That I can do. What can I do to make it look like it's more of a curl fist? Maybe like that? Yeah. And then it gives him like a hand. And then down comes. So that's the Mega Starmie fist. And what I'll do is I'll draw the main body. Separate from... I guess if it's launching off the ground, it would be more like this, right? And then when you do the Shoryuken, I think you're... Or no, is your... What is it? It's your... Oh, crap. Oops, wait. I think it's this leg, so there's like the body, and then it's this leg, I think, that curls in. Right? And then I think the other leg is extended outwards. Something cool like that, I think. Pokemon ZA time. I've not even played it yet. My brother was talking about buying it, but I haven't played it yet. I just love the design of Mega Starmie. Like, I do understand why some people don't like it, but I think it's silly, which is cool because I don't think there are enough Mega designs that are just like funny guys. I feel like far too many of them are like, what if we made this Pokemon even more badass? Like, what if we made Charizard look even more like a dragon? Mega Starmie is funny. That's why it's so cool. It's because there are some Pokemon that I think have been waiting on Megas for a long time. And because I remember, like, you know, many years ago, this is showing my age a little bit. I remember when X and Y had like first come out, and people would go online and post hypothetical Mega evolutions for their favorite Pokemon. Shout out to Mega Skarmory, by the way. I was one of the guys who was really excited for Mega Skarmory. Where am I gonna... Oh, we'll do the headband like this. I'll pull it lower. And Mega Starmie, it was always like a really cool one. Like, it would be like the normal Starmie star, but then it would be like in layers. So it would be like a star, and then another star floating in front of it, and then the gem floating in front of that, and it was almost streamlined like the barrel of a cannon. Really cool, like badass designs. I'm glad that they went, this one doesn't get to be badass though, this one just gets to be dumb, which I think is awesome. Like, it just has long legs. It literally just has long legs. There's the Ryu headband. And now I gotta draw the back spine. The back spines, there's 4 of them, right? They're going off on the diagonals. I should probably have a picture of Mega Starmie, like, pulled up, shouldn't I? So I can reference it. Although it is just Starmie with legs, isn't it? Yeah, this fucking guy. This fucking piece of shit. It is literally just Starmie with legs. Pokemon, we love you. Gameplay is fun, story is neat. Oh yeah, the graphics. Yeah, that's kind of something that turned me off of playing the newer Pokemon games, is I just don't think they look great. However, of course, you know, I think the Pokemon, and I don't think this is a controversial opinion, I think Pokemon look best in 2D. As much as I remember being, you know, 12 or whatever when Pokemon X and Y came out, and I thought it was so cool that they were 3D graphics, now as an adult, I don't think I really like the 3D models. I think I far prefer the sprite art. Although, like, I get why. Excuse me. They switched to 3D models over sprite art, but there is part of it that I miss. Okay, so Mega Starmie, these got guys coming out like this. I'm a Gen 3 shill. I am Gen 3's strongest shill. And I think that's because the first Pokemon game like I played properly, like with a developed enough frontal cortex or whatever to actually understand what was going on, was Pokemon Emerald. I got a Game Boy Advance and Pokemon Emerald for my birthday. I do not remember what birthday, but it was awesome. And I played that game so much. It was actually crazy. Can we see the yellow thing from back here? Probably not. Probably not from this angle. I played so much. Should I give him hair? Is it funnier if I give him hair? Let's find out. I played so much Pokemon Emerald that game is like permanently burned into my brain. And even when I play Showdown, I'm a Gen 3 shill. I'm a Gen 3 OU shill. I had a coworker once. Is that funny? Does that make it funny? Oh, I should give Starmie a gi. I was ready to just draw him naked. Yeah, no, I think 3D Pokemon like can look good. I quite like I do actually quite like some of the 3D models. When I watch like VGC stuff and it's all in 3D, I do think that I like a lot of the graphic design. I just think that sometimes I find it's less consistent. I think there are moments where I really like the 3D art style, and there are moments where I don't. Whereas with, you know, Gen 1's sprites aren't super great until you get to yellow. But I think that like everything after that, I quite like the sprite work for Pokemon. Yeah, if I had a Switch, I think that I would play the newer Pokemon games quite a bit, but I don't, and I kind of don't really want to emulate them. Because, you know, that's a sin. No, I'm just lazy. You know what I was actually playing lately was I was struck with the urge to play Budokai Tenkaichi 3, so I downloaded a PlayStation 2 emulator, and I've been playing quite a bit of that lately. And on one hand, I think Sparking Zero is like a better game, which I think is a controversial opinion. I think BT3 feels really clunky, but it is nice to have all of that missing content. It is nice to be able to do like grade 8 Raditz and whatever. Just, you know, in another aspect of the... Oh no, that's not where the sleeve should be. Sleeve? What do you call it? Pants leg is what you call it. Yeah, Gen 3 is awesome, though. I love... so I was actually never much of a Tyranitar guy. My favorite Pokemon were never, like, the cool, like, badass dragon-looking ones. It was always the ones that I just thought were, like, visually... Not cute, but I just thought they were, like, visually compelling, you know, in a unique way. So I always liked Snorlax. I always liked Venusaur. But I never really liked Tyranitar because it was just kind of badass and not much else. However... When I started playing Pokemon Showdown, Gen 3, of course, has Tyranitar, like, everywhere. And I kind of fell in love with Tyranitar because I think it's just really cool. Like, I think it's a really interesting, you know, mechanical game piece in the format. And I think I grew to like its design because of that. Wish ZA had random mini games like Yakuza. I've never played Yakuza, but I've heard a lot of people say that the mini games are, like, awesome. I know a lot of people love the mini games. It would be cool. I do like that. Because I don't really like open world games, generally speaking, but everything I've heard about Yakuza sounds really cool. Just because I've heard like the world is really, really fleshed out, and there's always stuff to do, and it's always unique stuff. That was one of the things. I never really got into GTA for a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons was that I always found the gameplay just kind of boring. Your options were like, go do the story missions where you kill people, or go do the open world where you kill people, and of course that's a reductive take on GTA a little bit, but it never really clicked with me. I was never much of a GTA guy. Being Grand Theft Auto for anybody who doesn't know. But I do like open world games. I do like having the option to just like go do stuff. What color is Mega Starmie? It's kind of like a vaguely bluey purple. We use this color. I think that's like maybe a little bit too purple. This color is better, right? Yeah, that's close enough. Although, you know, I say, oh, I love open world games, but they made a Street Fighter open world game, and I just don't play it. No, when I say Showdown, I mean like Pokemon Showdown, like the website. Because Coliseum on the GameCube is awesome. I played Battle Revolution growing up, and I loved those games. Oh man, that would be a cool stream, Battle Revolution. But when I'm saying Showdown, I mean, is it PokemonShowdown.org, .net, .com, something like that? And it's an in-browser like battle simulator where you can make your own Pokemon team and pit them against like other people's Pokemon teams. It's like almost like ranked matchmaking for Pokemon. It's awesome. If you haven't checked it out and you like competitive Pokemon or you like battling Pokemon, it's awesome. And you can play all the generations. I think I did just a while ago. I did like a Generation 1 stream. Battle Revolution. Battle Revolution's sick. I remember when I figured out that you could hook your Nintendo DS up to Battle Revolution and play it like that. I thought that was so sick. Oh man, I should play Battle Revolution again. I have a Wii. My brother and I, a few years ago during COVID, bought a Wii online. Got it for like $50. It was really cheap. And we played Smash on it. We played Brawl, and then we switched to Melee because we realized that Brawl wasn't very good. But I also played a lot of Battle Revolution on that, and I absolutely adore that game. Because the Pokemon battles in the console, or in the consoles, on the main series games, like on the DS, were always cool. But there's something about seeing them in 3D with all of these crazy effects and these fainting animations. It's just so cool. It's the hype moments and aura of Pokemon games. Stream Pokemon Champions, if I can find it. What's Pokemon Champions? I don't think I'm familiar with that one. Oh, is that the... Melee is better than Brawl? That's the general consensus. I enjoyed Melee better than Brawl, for whatever my opinion's worth. And I think people tend to like Melee better than Brawl. What is Pokemon Champions? I don't think I'm familiar. Pokemon Champions. I may have heard of this. Oh, it's upcoming. It's not out yet. Okay. Oh, is that the thing that is like Pokemon's own battle simulator? Like it's just... Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. If I can get a cheap Switch, do you know if it'll be the Switch 1 or the Switch 2? Because I could almost certainly get a cheap Switch 1, which would be cool. Or does my brother? No, my brother has a Switch 1. I could just steal his. Bro, come please. I need to get your Switch. I need to borrow your Switch so I can stream. You know, iOS devices and Switch. Oh, that's tight. Oh man, I gotta play it. All right, I just came up with a funny little visual thing. I'm gonna put little Ryu gi sleeves on the spines. Wait for it to come out just in case. Good idea. But no, I would love to do that. Because I do like Pokemon. I always... So I was playing Third Strike today. I was recording for... I play every Wednesday is when I play Third Strike. And then I use those clips in my content, in my YouTube videos, right? I think I gotta erase a little bit more. And I was playing today, and I ran into a guy who was like, yo, I'm streaming. So I popped into his stream for a moment, and he was streaming Third Strike, and he was absolutely just kicking the crap out of me on his stream. His name's #1 Shark, if anybody wants to check him out. But one of the things that occurred to me was I was like, I have never streamed Third Strike. I have had this Third Strike YouTube channel for like 3 years, and I've been streaming for, I think, 2 years, and I've never streamed Third Strike. I always stream Pokemon, I always stream Street Fighter 6, I always stream like drawing, stuff like that. And I need to stream Third Strike eventually, but I think it would be really funny to stream like Pokemon Champions before I stream Third Strike. I should definitely stream Third Strike though at some point. I've put it off just because Third Strike's matchmaking, Fightcade's matchmaking is not very good. I'd have to go to the chat and type games and like filter our connections and whatever. But I'll just do it. I'm just gonna do it at some point. That'll be like next week or something. You to fight me sometime? You moved from 12 to Alex? No way. What super do you use? I'm assuming Super 2, but sometimes you run into people who insist on running something else. Are you using Alex Super 2? I presume. Yeah, Super 2. That's awesome. What made you make the switch? Did you just realize that you weren't really vibing with 12? You didn't feel like you could make 12 work? Because I have definitely run into that. I'll pick a game up and I'll go like, I'm going to play this character that is generally regarded as low tier, and then I just absolutely get the crap kicked out of me, and then you realize why nobody plays them. SA1? No way. That's cool. That's awesome. Just realized I've been on the wrong layer the whole time. SA1 is awesome. Every time I play Alex, I pick SA1 just because I think doing chop into Hyper Bomb is really cool. Hyper Bomb. Although, you know, you basically never land it. But it's cool. I get knowledge checked. I think in a recent video, it was the first video of the long form ones I did, the fight Kate is fighting back or something, that I posted 2 weeks ago. I got empty jumped Alex Super 1. So somebody empty jumped into me, and then Alex Super 1 as they landed. And I was like, oh god, no, it's over. And then only then, after the attack had connected, did I realize that it's a frame 2 command grab and I could have jumped out. So I get knowledge checked real hard by stuff like that all the time. 12 is hard because of how mobile he is. That's real. Yeah, I'm too, like, passive. I realized that today as I was playing and as I was recording. When I was playing against opponents who, like, wouldn't just throw themselves at me and let me just anti-air and whiff punish them, and that actually forced me to, on some level, approach them, my entire strategy kind of fell apart because my whole game plan has been built around, like, trying to halt an opponent's approach, and when the opponent recognizes that and refuses to give me an approach to halt, I fall apart a little bit. So yeah, I struggle to play really actively as well, which I'd imagine is a skill you would need to play 12 because you're constantly jumping, you're constantly dashing, you're constantly whatever. Is SA1 good to wake up with? Is it invincible? I didn't know that. Alright, I think that's... There you go. Mega Starmie doing a Shoryuken. It kind of just looks like Purple Patrick. Alright. Next drawing. Let's do... What's a cool thing I can draw Mega Starmie doing? Let's draw him doing a Hadouken now, if we're doing all the Street Fighter moves. It is just Purple Patrick. I think it's hard to draw anything that is a starfish without it just looking like Patrick. Unless you're, like, good at drawing and can draw, like, an actual starfish and not one that just is like a star. But that's not me, bro. I'm just drawing Patrick. If you're doing a Hadouken, which shoulder would be forward? It would be the one on the bottom. Yeah, now you're gonna actually see the front, so you'll be able to see that it's not Purple Patrick and it actually has a big gem on its face. Yeah, what does shiny Mega Starmie look like? I actually have no idea. I don't even remember what shiny Starmie looks like, which is weird because Starmie is actually one of my favorite Pokemon. Mega Starmie, what a fucked up Pokemon. And then we'll draw the gem. So gem's like an octagon, I think, right? So it's like... And then I got alt tab back to my picture of Mega Starmie. Okay, and it's got weird things around it. It's got like this. Oh crap, that's not the eraser. And then what can I do? You know what, actually, yeah, I'll give him a headband and it'll be like fluttering from the backwards force of the Hadouken. Like, you know when you throw the Hadouken in Third Strike and the headband like flutters backwards? And it's awesome because Third Strike is awesome. Controversial opinion. Man, shout out to Sprite Art for basically being like dead outside of indie titles. It's unfortunate because I think it looks so good, but I do understand, or it's just, as it's been explained to me, it's just a lot less practical to do with video games with nowadays as compared to 3D modeling, which is unfortunate because I think it looks really good. Although I've also heard that it tends not to test as well with larger audiences. I don't know how true that is, but somebody once told me that sprite art games are like perceived as more like for children and old school and kind of not as good with a lot of like the general game buying audience, the type of people that you really want to buy your game. You know, like the type of people who will buy Street Fighter because it's a hyped up game, play it for 2 hours, then never get it again. You know, a more casual audience. I've heard that they tend not to buy sprite art games. It's like those Marvel posters. Have you guys ever seen the Marvel posters? Where it'll be this like beautiful, kind of vaguely comic booky like pop art design, but apparently they just don't test well. So they get replaced with the crappy crowded ensemble posters we get stuck with. Celeste is one. Yeah, I've heard Celeste is awesome. That's another game I've not played, but it looks really cool. The indie platformer, and I think because the resurgence of the platformer, I think, is a beautiful thing. Because to me, that's like the video game, is the archetypal video game, is the platformer. And it feels like, I don't know if this is just a me thing, but it felt like there was a period, kind of during the Xbox 360 era, where I was playing like a lot of video games all the time because I was in high school, where platformers kind of fell out of favor in favor of shooters, really shooters, but also sports games as well. And that's not to begrudge those things. I think both of those are cool. But it just felt like there weren't really many platformers, and outside of the big ones made by Nintendo. So I think it's cool to see so many huge platformers do well over the last, decade or so. Stuff like Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight, stuff like that. A lot of Knight games, Celeste. There's definitely others I'm forgetting about. Oh shit, what's the one? Cuphead. People won't play Fatal Fury for the 3D models. Yeah, because of Ronaldo. I showed it to Ronaldo. It's like KOF 13, right? Like, looks really, really good. KOF 13, and I don't think that's a controversial opinion. KOF 13 looks awesome, but it does. Apparently the sprite art held it back in some ways from being as successful as SNK wanted it to be. I'm a big fan of like speculative biology. What's that book, Man After Man? I quite liked, where it talks about how humanity might evolve and our biology might differ under different environmental stressors. And there's huge groups of people out there who do that with Pokemon. I remember seeing a lot of YouTube videos about, well, this Pokemon has this feature of its biology or this feature of whatever, and here's the selective pressures within the region that you can find it in that would make sense for it to evolve this way, which I thought was really cool. I thought that was really interesting because I'm really like dumb. So I really like when smart people talk about like really intelligent stuff like speculative biology. So I'm curious if anybody has done speculative biology breakdowns. What about Ultimorals? Oh, I loved Ultimorals back when it like first came out and it was all anybody on the internet talked about. I thought Ultimorals was really cool. One of my favorite bits about Ultimorals, and this is spoilers if somehow you care about Ultimorals but still have not engaged with Ultimorals in any way, despite it being everywhere on the internet for like a solid couple of years, is I really liked at the end when they said, and of course this is all ancient history, because humanity in all of its forms has been extinct for a bajillion years. It was really cool because I think a lot of science fiction media treats humanity as some sort of weird final design, some kind of like perfected biology. But saying like, look at all of these crazy different ways that the humans were altered, and then the ways in which they evolved rather to adapt to their new environments over and over and over again, and then they went extinct and life went on without them. I thought All Tomorrows was really cool. Was there a sequel? I remember hearing people talk about there being an All Tomorrows sequel. I don't know if that ever happened, but yeah, I thought All Tomorrows was really cool. I think I like a little bit more the stuff that just allows for the speculative biology to just take its course. That was really my one like not huge complaint, but that was one of the things that I preferred about some acts of speculative biology or some works of speculative biology over others. Was like All Tomorrows, some of them would have like a creature like the Q show up and forcibly alter biology, but left alone, especially in some kind of like planet spanning environment, humanity would just kind of naturally evolve, which I think is more interesting. I liked the Q's design. I liked that they were like scary dragonfly creatures, again, because I think it's cool when you have these extra powerful things that aren't anthropomorphic at all, because again, is the anthropocentric a word? We're so anthropocentric. I'm gonna say it even if it's not. As humans, we imagine that everything else must be like humans. But in reality, the odds of some all-powerful alien species looking anything at all like humans is actually pretty low, because there's an infinite number of ways in which life can develop. That's one of the things I always thought was really funny about like Star Trek or Star Wars, and Star Trek definitely more than Star Wars, is the idea that everything is still vaguely human. Like in Star Trek, everything is just a human, but when they like, give you slightly altered facial features and they make you a color that no human is. They make you like blue. But they're all humans. And then Star Wars is definitely quite a bit better than that, but they're all still vaguely like humanoid in certain ways. They all have two eyes, they all have noses, they all have like mouths, and they all speak in the same way, and they all kind of work in ways that we as humans presume all life has to. So I really like when science fiction media like the Q goes like, nope, here's like an incomprehensible creature, something entirely unlike anything you have ever seen before. I think that's awesome. You have the same power as the Q? You do. It's like that that meme that was going around for a little bit, where somebody made Miku say like, if you're a regular artist and you see an AI artist on the internet, you should draw them pregnant. What is this song? I've started putting on Kevin MacLeod music. One, because it's royalty free, but also because Kevin MacLeod is actually like good at music. And this is awesome. I am curious. I don't know much about Kevin MacLeod. I am curious if he records all of this music himself, like he plays all the instruments, or if he uses VSTs, like he programs the instruments, or if he has other people play them. I'd imagine it's probably some combination of both. Just because I remember hearing a track, it may have been even last art stream, where he did this crazy walking bass solo, and I was like, man, if that's Kevin playing that, that's crazy. You can draw the Q pregnant? You can draw the Q pregnant. There is actually nothing stopping you from doing that. Mega Starmie doing the Raging Demon? Like, everybody just loves Mega Starmie. I don't know what to tell you. One of my favorite Mega Starmie memes... Or not Mega Starmie memes, Christ. Mega Starmie Brain Run is real. One of my favorite Raging Demon memes was when Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was announced. There was that meme of, I think it was SpongeBob doing the Raging Demon on Patrick. Whatever happened to that game? So my friends and I we'll do just like fun little casual fighting game tournaments from time to time. And I really distinctly remember when we did Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and we were like, this was really fun, we should do it again, and never touched the game again. And then when the sequel came out, we were like, oh, we should definitely run the sequel. And then we never did. Same with Multiversus, same thing happened. We didn't even run the Multiversus tournament. It is crazy how every so often a platform fighter will come to try to take Smash's throne. It's shut down, damn, it's over. Every so often a platform fighter will come for Smash's throne and then just like, it won't work. What other fighting games do I play? Really, I mostly play Street Fighter, if I'm being entirely honest. I play Street Fighter 3, I play Street Fighter 6. That's mostly it. Those are the only ones I play on a regular basis. I do love SNK games. I have gone through phases where I play KOF 15 like all the time with like my friends. When the game first came out, I played it all the time, and then I put it down for a little bit just because the matchmaking was really bad and the online was pretty rough. And then a buddy of mine bought it, and then we played it like every night for months, and then I stopped playing it again. And then a couple of my other buddies bought it, and then we played it every night for months. So I do love KOF. I do like SNK games. It's just like not a whole lot of people play KOF 15, so it's not a super practical game to find quality matches for. And I refuse to buy Fatal Fury for City of the Wolves for full price because I think the Ronaldo being in the game is really stupid. And I don't think I would play a whole lot of it. So if it goes down, if it drops in price, I'll buy it. But I'm not paying like 80 Canadian or whatever it is right now for City of the Wolves. I've played Strive in the past. I actually pre-ordered Strive. Strive is one of the first games I ever pre-ordered because I was really excited. Because around the time Strive was coming out, I was playing a lot of Xrd. And I was really excited for Strive. And then Strive came out, and I didn't really like it a whole lot. I played it a lot, and I had fun. I just didn't sink my teeth into it quite the same way I did other fighting games that I like. I do occasionally revisit Strive, but not particularly frequently. What other games are there? Tekken? I played a lot of Tekken 7, again with my friends. I played Tekken 8 for a little bit. I've had two kind of on and off bursts of playing Tekken 8, and then I stopped playing it. Been on sale several times. Yeah, and I probably will buy it eventually, but I don't think I would get even like $30 worth of enjoyment out of it unless a couple of my friends all bought it as well. I think I'd have to wait for it to be like $5. Like I bought Fighters, Dragon Ball Fighters, a game which I still haven't played, but I probably will play eventually. I got it for $5 on sale. And to me, that's the amount I'm willing to spend on a game that I will play very little of. Like Faust. Faust is cool. I do like Faust design. I actually like a lot of the Strive like designs. I think that there's a lot of... I think the idea of giving every character a unique gimmick is really cool. But the gameplay itself just isn't really my thing, unfortunately. I had a phase a long time ago, a couple of years ago, where I tried to get into Super Turbo. Because everybody always says, oh, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo is the greatest fighting game of all time. And if you're good at that, you're good at fighting games. It's like a real game. And I think among people my age group, this isn't a particularly controversial opinion, that Super Turbo is not a very good game. I think it's cool. I like hearing people talk about Super Turbo, and I like watching people play Super Turbo. But for me, when I play Super Turbo, it feels like just a nightmare. When I could go play like any other Street Fighter game. Xrd Faust is Strive Faust. Yes, that's one of the big things is characters in Strive tend to play pretty differently than they do in Xrd, just because the mechanics are different. I mean, obviously, right? Like Ryu plays differently in Third Strike than he is in Super Turbo than he is in 4. But yeah, the jump from Xrd to Strive was just like not something I particularly vibed with. It did feel like almost a different... I was going to say different game, but it is a different game. It almost felt like a different franchise to me. I don't know. I never really vibed with Strive. And even then, I didn't play like that much Xrd. I'm talking like some kind of like massive Xrd head. But I just kind of played Xrd really casually. I wonder if Mega Starmie will be any good. Because as some of you may know, Starmie has like historically been a pretty good Pokemon. I don't play any of the newer generations, so I don't know how well it's held up. But Starmie being fast and hitting really hard has always just been a good combination. And being a water type, water psychic, has always just been a good combination. And I can't imagine Starmie's particularly viable anymore, just because I'd be shocked if a Gen 1 Pokemon was still particularly relevant. But I'm wondering how, because I actually don't know what changes Mega Starmie gets. I don't know if it gets a new ability. I don't know if it gets new stats. I have no idea how competent Mega Starmie will be. I'd be curious. Got into Melty Blood lately. That's a cool game. I do like Melty Blood. I don't play it basically ever, but when what was it, Type Lumina? When that game first came out, a friend of mine who was really into whatever anime Saber is from, is it Fate? I think it's Fate, was like, whoa, Saber's in this fighting game. We should play this fighting game. So we all bought Type Lumina and we played it like for a month or so. And I had quite a bit of fun with it. I really like Type Lumina. What other Melty Blood games have I played? I played another Melty Blood game. I do not remember which one it was. But I think it's cool. I like Melty Blood. And I think part of it is like the fact that I don't feel like I need to take Melty Blood particularly seriously, because it is like a teehee funny meme game, but it is also just genuinely fun. Oh yeah, I forgot about how Pokemon having a restricted dex now. It's fucked up. Pokemon hates me. Pokemon doesn't want Starmie to be good. Alright, there's my Starmie. Alright, what other poses can I draw? I'm gonna actually grab a drink of water. Do I have water on my desk? I do from last night. One second. I have another idea. Mega Starmie is awesome because even though I'm bad at fucking drawing, it's really... Ooh, crap. No, I did. Never mind. Did play Third Strike because of your videos. Dudley Mays make me bald and angered. That's real. That's based. The move that always gets me is Dudley Jump Heavy Kick. Or, yeah, Jump Heavy Kick. The weird one where he kind of turns vaguely sideways. Because Crouch Heavy Punch, Ryu Crouch Heavy Punch, like, struggles to anti-air it. Because the hitbox on that Dudley jump is just so good. And I've been told that the way to beat it is Raging Demon Pose? Raging Demon Pose. Yeah, that's a good one. I've been told the way to beat it is Ryu Stand Heavy Kick. But I just don't play against enough Dudleys to really have had the opportunity to match that up. It's like, oh man, I was recording today, and I got my shit kicked in by a Remy. Just because I basically never play against Remys. So I know certain matchups really, really well. Like, I know Ken matchup really well. I know the Ryu matchup pretty well. I know Makoto pretty well. But, like, Remy, I never play against Remy. So I have absolutely no clue how to play against that character. So even though, you know, he's the general consensus that he's not very good, I just struggle really hard. Type Lumina on Evo bathrooms? Yeah. That is the meme. That is the joke. Is it's always a side event and there's never space for it. At my locals, I think we joked about playing Melty Blood in the bathroom at one point, but obviously we never did. I'm kind of doing random shit for this weird face gem now. I like zoned out for a second and realized I just jumped a bunch of random squiggles, and I'm just stuck. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it. It makes him look more evil. Makes him look more like a raging demon. Alright, so this is him doing the initial slide forward. Oh crap. I need a new layer. City of the Wolves helps you with red parries? I can believe that, because that game has that just defend mechanic, right? I don't quite remember exactly how it works, because I only played the beta, and that was like a year ago. Maybe more, actually, now that I think about it. But I can believe that, because I do remember one of the defensive mechanics. Was it basically just a red parry where you go from blocking to forward and you parry out of block stun? That is just a red parry, I guess. Yeah, I don't remember what they called it though. Fightcade does like making you fight Dudleys. Actually, I don't run into Dudley a crazy amount, but I do run into Hugo all the time, actually. Of the atypical characters, of the characters that aren't Shotos, or let me think. What are the characters I run into the most? Hugo might be up there. I run into Hugo quite a bit. I run into Alex quite a bit, and then obviously Shotos. Yeah, Hugo actually might be one of my most matched up against. One of the characters I'm matched up against most frequently. Hyper defense, that's it. Yeah, Fightcade's a fucked up place. I do also think, pardon me, that, you know, as cool as it is that we have Fightcade, it is kind of like the worst possible technology that does what Fightcade does. And a client that gives you, like, there is an alternate universe where the Fightcade client gives you, like, more conventional matchmaking and skill-based matchmaking and the ability to see people's ranks before you challenge them and their connection before you challenge them and stuff like that. You know, as great as Fightcade is, I do think that there is potential for something else to come in and just steal its player base. I've heard, what's it called, Hyper Reflector? Somebody's working on something called Hyper Reflector, which I believe is meant to be the same idea as Fightcade, but with, you know, more better quality of life. Run into a Necro player before? Yeah, not very frequently. I ran into a Necro player actually earlier today for the first time in like a long time. And I only play once a week, so I don't play Third Strike a crazy amount. But yeah, I've run into Necro players very infrequently, and they kick the shit out of me. Again, part of it is I'm not very good at Third Strike. I'm just kind of okay. But another part of it is like I don't know the matchup, so I don't know what's punishable, how, or what ranges I need to be watching for what. Like fighting Shotos is so easy. You just bait the medium kick and punish, you know, like it's simple. But fighting like Necro, fighting Remy, fighting characters on Q as well, just unconventional characters where I don't know how their neutral works very well, and I know that I'm getting gimmicked. Like when I fight Remy's, they always back up Sonic Boom into Cold Blue Kick, and I just don't know how to deal with it because I don't know how to deal with Cold Blue Kick. I think it's almost always minus unless you space it particularly well, but I struggle to take my turn back. So yeah, Third Strike's hard. That's all to say. This is fucking awesome. This song. Alright, this piece. You know, technically it's only a song if it has singing in it, and if it doesn't have singing in it, it's a piece or it's a tune. But it pisses me off when people do that. They go like, actually, they go like, oh, that's a really good song you just played there on your fiddle, and they go like, actually, it's a tune, and then I'm forced. I have no choice but to squish them like an ant, like a grape. This is really good. What's this called? Laid Back Guitars. Kevin McLeod, everybody. You main Q? That's based. I have an incredible amount of respect for Q players. I have tried to play Q a couple of times, and he just feels so weird. He feels so completely alien to anything I know how to play. You know, I like to play characters that have, like, reasonably solid pokes. And I've never felt like Q has that. Q always feels like he's almost playing a different game. So that lack of ability to control neutral at range has always, to me, felt like just something I can't do. But Q players who are able to make that character work and who are able to fight that uphill battle, I have a lot of respect for it. Taunt 3 times and hope you don't run into Makoto. Yeah. Starmie. Yeah, it is Starmie, huh? This guy, Sniper for you, my co-conspirator, comes into the chat and states the obvious. Can you believe that? So Sniper for you is like my buddy. He's my pal. He's my friend, though. And I can guarantee you that at some point before he leaves the stream chat, he's going to shill his YouTube channel. So just be careful for that. All right. Now I gotta give the... What color should I make it? I'm gonna make it the same color. I'm gonna make it yellow. I think Starmie's Raging Demon will be yellow. You hate Mega Starmie? Why do you hate Mega Starmie? What's your problem? Why do you hate Mega Starmie? It's fucking awesome. Our YouTube channel. Yeah, your YouTube channel. This is my YouTube channel. This is him doing the slide. And then... It sucks so much. No, it's cool. It has legs. What if Starmie had legs? They ate. There you go. There's the Starmie Raging Demon. It's fucking awesome. Alright, back to whatever dumb shit I was drawing over here. What layer was that even on? It's on layer 6. Okay. This is my most unhinged art stream yet, I think. Normally I'm like, I'm gonna draw Street Fighter characters. But last night, before I went to bed, I was like, oh god, I need to make a thumbnail and a little teaser to post. Check out Goon Platoon new upload schedule today. I knew it. I'll put the link in the chat to the channel because I know YouTube doesn't like it when other people post links in your chat. I think Sniper for you tried to post the link last time. Oh god, and it didn't work. So this is the YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. Where'd I put my pen? There it is. So I'm like not a furry, but I think that if I were to be one of those furries who make like Pokemon sonas, you know, like they're like, my fursona isn't like a jaguar or a kangaroo or whatever, and they make theirs Pokemon, mine would be Mega Starmie. Mine would be like Klaus the Mega Starmie. Would that be cool? The French dub of Starmie, I have not. Is it fucked up? Is it scary? 50,000 subscriber special involves Orbeez. Don't spoil the video. Don't spoil the video. And also, don't fucking talk about that in my chat. I'm not explaining the Orbeez. As a furry? So, would you make your fursona Mega Starmie? Would you think that would be cool? Because I need your opinion. I need your opinion as like a professional. Do you think Mega Starmie would be a cool fursona, or do you think if I showed up to the FurCon in my Mega Starmie outfit, I get like bullied? They call me a fake fur. Is that a term that furries use? I'm going to imagine it is. I think it's funny enough that I'm going to imagine it is. Your persona's a goat? Yo, that's my goat. Am I right? Am I right? Your fursona is LeBron. Haha. Pwn. You've probably never heard that one before, am I right? No, that's cool. I think a goat's a cool fursona. I've said this before, is I think my fursona would like not be something that is like mainstream. I feel like there are too many wolves. There's too many like cats, stuff like that. I think that at this point, if you want me to have any kind of respect for your persona, it has to be like a goat, right? I think a goat's a cool one. I think I said mine would be a moose. That's a cool one. Can you make your persona a monkey, or is that a little bit too close to a person? Like, if your persona is like... Because how far does one have to be away from a human for it to be a persona? You know, can you make a gorilla persona, right? Or is that too close to a person? And if that's not too close to a person, how about a chimpanzee? And if that's not too close to a person, what about Homo habilis? What about Homo neanderthalis? You know, how close do we get to modern humans before you go, well, that's not a persona anymore, that's just a sona, right? That's just a human sona. It's an interesting question. Because I think if somebody said, this is my persona that's a Neanderthal, I'd be like, no, that's just a person. That's just a human being, right? But like, what was Lucy? What kind of homo was Lucy? Homo. Australopithecus afarensis. If my persona was Australopithecus afarensis, do you think that's too close to a person? You know, like where does one draw the line? Looks like a Mega Man enemy. He does look like a Mega Man enemy. That's true. Primate personas count. We're so back. You know, I feel like my dividing line for whether or not it counts as a valid persona would be if it's in the genus Homo. I think the moment you say, like, my persona is Homo habilis, that's when it becomes weird. But Australopithecines, I think there's an argument to be had there. You know, I think there's a conversation to be had there. Like early man, non-conventional. Yeah, non-conventional face is a good way, I think, to think about it. You know, like, you kind of just pass, like, does it look like a human test, you know? So does crabs and shrimp. See, that's cool as fuck. If somebody came up to me, because I've had people, this has happened. I think I just have the type of personality that people feel pretty quickly comfortable with just divulging things to. I've had a couple of people just say, like, yeah, my persona is whatever, right? Like, within 5 minutes of meeting them. And sometimes it's, like, lame. It's like, my persona is a wolf. And no disrespect to anybody in the Weezer Enjoyer audience whose persona is a wolf, but there's just so many. There's too many. But I think if somebody came up to me and was like, my persona is a crab, that would be cool as fuck. I would respect the crap out of that. Can they fry rice? I would hope so. I would hope so. My persona is... What's the Homo floresiensis? Is that what I'm thinking of? Homo floresiensis. Yes. So my persona would be Homo floresiensis. Everybody Google. I'm going to draw Homo floresiensis. We've done like 5 drawings of Mega Starmie. I'm going to draw Homo floresiensis. This is a fucked up stream. I'm becoming more unhinged, I think, the longer we go. Homo floresiensis, Wikipedia. Give me a scientific reconstruction of these guys. Give me a painting. I don't want bones. Give me a facial reconstruction. There we go. Facial reconstruction of Homo floresiensis. I do love one of my big kicks I've been on over the last little bit. Nobody has bug personas? That's fucked up. Oh, scorpion persona would go so fucking hard. Honestly, that would be insane. All right, let me download this picture of Homo floresiensis. Ooh, crap. And then I'm going to import it into my art program. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna hide this. It's a surprise. Import references. Where's my reference thing? Alright, we drawing Homo floresiensis today. One of my big things I quite like is like humanity pre Homo sapiens. Oh, you guys can't see the reference image. Crap. Let me import it in a different way then. I'll have to import it to a layer, I suppose. But I do think that, like, humanity before modern humans And that's not just like genetically modern humans. I mean, like, you know, before civilization, before language, before whatever. I think that's really interesting. It's really cool. All right, we're gonna draw this guy now. We're gonna draw Homo floresiensis. This guy looks chill. So Homo floresiensis, for anybody who doesn't know, there was some island. I don't remember where it is. I want to say somewhere in like the Pacific. Like somewhere in, like, you know, those giant clumps of islands, like in kind of off the coast of Eastern Asia. Maybe not off the coast, but you know where I'm talking about, right? Like somewhere in that area. I want to say it's somewhere in like Indonesia or Malaysia, but that's probably just because those are the only island archipelagos I can name in that area. But I think that they discovered these guys here, and they're like really small. They're very similar to like other humans, but they're just really tiny. Something called island dwarfism. Who's the guy? Milo something, the English guy who makes videos. What's his name? 1 second, I gotta shout him out. Spider Sona isn't a furry thing. I think a tarantula could be. Do you think? What's his name? Milo. I'm gonna look up. What do I look up? Milo. What's his last name? I don't remember his last name. Let's look up Neanderthal, because he makes videos about Neanderthals. His name is Milo. Stefan Milo. That's it. Stefan Milo. Everybody shout out Stefan Milo. I watch all his like stuff. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, if you're a furry, right, then I feel like it's implied that you're into, or not into, but like you enjoy your fursona being a furred animal. Right? And I've heard scalies, that's your fursona being a scaled animal, you know, like a lizard. Do you think bug people, like if you're a furry but with bugs, that you have a name for that? Would it be wingy? But no, that would be birds. And birds would probably be feathery though, maybe, right? I don't know. I just don't know. I need people to educate me. This guy has kind eyes. Homo floresiensis, he just looks so nice. This is what I look like, for anybody curious. Oh, this is fucked up. I'm so bad at drawing eyes. That's something I need to do, is like sit down and actually just practice drawing things that I have trouble with. I've been in a bit of a... I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect. Why did I erase all those lines? I don't know, whatever. So here's the Dunning-Kruger effect, for anybody who doesn't know. This is a graph. This is... confidence is over here, and knowledge is here. Knowledge. So Dunning-Kruger effect is that if you know very little about something, then you're actually more likely to think that you know quite a bit. And they call that the peak of Mount Stupid. Because uninformed people don't know enough about the subject on which they speak to understand just how truly uninformed they are. So for example, this is your average layperson having very strong opinions on medical minutia, right? As opposed to like a doctor, right? This hypothetical person, running with the medical example, has no idea how any aspect of medicine works, but just kind of goes off of vibes and believe themselves intelligence. This is the peak of Mount Stupid. Then you learn a little bit more, and you enter what's called the Valley of Despair, where now that you begin to understand the subject, you only then can you grasp just truly how wide this is, and how little you know. So this would be maybe your first year of medical school in this example, realizing that there's all these different things you have to understand about all of these different systems and their interactions in the human body and all these different chemicals and the way that they interact. That's the Valley of Despair, because you realize how little you know, and you are absolutely destroyed by how overwhelming it all seems. And then as you learn more, you enter what's called the plateau of sustainability, which is where you know enough to understand what you know and what you don't know in a reasonable way, and you know enough to be confident, but you also understand that there are going to be gaps in your knowledge that you should seek to fill. That's Dunning-Kruger, as I understand it. So with all that being said, in terms of drawing, I am here. I was here for a little bit where I go like, look at my cool Goku drawing. Isn't it so good? But it wasn't good. It was not good. And now the more I like draw, the more I begin to realize that I have so far left to go and so many things that I just don't understand. So this is where I am right now. So the reason I bring this up is because there are a couple of things that whenever I try to draw lately, I will draw them the same way I've been drawing them up till now. But now that I kind of understand art a little bit better, I understand how little I know. So I used to draw, I draw this for an eye, right? And that'd be my eye. And like, that'd be my nose. Right? And I go like, that looks fine. But I realized that I can't draw anything more complex than that if I want to. And learning how to do that, and then learning, how light works, how proportion works, how perspective works, it's all so overwhelming. But of course, that's just me being in the valley of despair. And all I have to do is push out of it. All I have to do is put the necessary work in the right places to eventually, one day, reach the plateau of sustainability. Anyways, that's all to say I need to actually, start studying art and shit now. I need to actually, learn how fucking art works and whatever. Because right now I'm kind of just doing shit, and that's got me this far, but I'd like to, keep going. And it's going to require effort, which pisses me off. Back to Homo floresiensis. So yeah, these were I guess, ancient humans, pre-human humans, who arrived on some island somewhere. I want to say in the Pacific, maybe the South Pacific. Doing the crossface thing, right? Yeah, I know that. That's another thing I need to sit down and learn how to do as well, because I do it because I see other people do it, and I've just trying to guess at how it works, but I don't really understand how a lot of these little artistic guideline things work. And that's another thing. I think I need to just sit down one day and start from the absolute basics of doing the crossface thing, or of just everything, really. I think I need to just learn how art actually works. Because, yeah, anytime I do the crossface thing, I, divulge from it every time. Because, I'm doing it wrong, and I'm doing it in a way that's not helpful. But I also have no idea how to do it right. So I do just need to sit down, I think, and learn that way eventually. Properly eventually. But, that'll be for another day. That's not what it says. It's that's why I'm here. Is because there's so many of these aspects of art that I understand on some level are important, and I understand that artists do them, but I don't know how they work. I've just kind of been going based on vibes up till now, and that's not really an option if I want to get any better. So I do need to kind of just sit down and dedicate myself to the craft, I think, on a way that I just haven't yet. Yeah, if anybody has a book, I like books. I like learning out of books. But if anybody has a book or a I don't know, YouTube series. Actually, I'm not sure I want a YouTube series. I'd like a book. But, if anybody has a really good book or a really good YouTube series or whatever, that they can recommend me to learn the basics. Because I think I have to just restart my understanding of art. It's kind of something very similar happened to me when I was learning music. Is you get to a point where you realize that you've been doing so many things so wrong the whole time, and you just have to entirely reset the way that you approach the art form so that you can learn proper fundamentals. And of course, I never did that with visual art. So I think I need to just start from the really dry, really boring academic basics and work my way back up. Not back up, work my way up. So if anybody has anything they'd recommend, please let me know. That's what I do when I'm when I was learning music. And one of the things that I try to instill in myself when learning anything is you do it so that it's fun. You do it in the fun way, the way that you enjoy, till you get hooked. And then only then, once you're hooked, this is how always the approach I've used. But that's where. Had you tried to draw Akuma? A long time ago. I haven't drawn Akuma in a little bit. But I always find that I do the thing that to me is enjoyable. And then once I've done it enough times that I'm kind of hooked on it, and I'm like, all right, now I know that I enjoy this art form enough to. That just looks like a dude. That doesn't look like Homo Frisians. Whatever. Once I've done it enough times to go like, all right, I like doing this, and now I want to actually get better at it. I've hit that point with art where I realized that up till now I've just kind of been goofing around. I've been fucking about, and now I need to actually lock in and learn how to do things. Yeah, so I didn't draw Akuma, but I did draw. This is Mega Starmie in the Akuma Raging Demon pose, which is a really cool thing to draw. I think I'll draw a few more things. Let's draw a big Mega Starmie thing. Let's draw like a big, cool Mega Starmie thing. I'll just section off like this part. Oh wait, I have a straight line tool. Why don't I just do that? All right, what's cool? What has aura? Who's messaging me on Discord? Sorry, my Discord is going off. Give me one moment to check that. What's a cool drawing? Let's draw. Okay, here's my drawing. 1 second. I'm not gonna tell you guys what it is. I'm just gonna start, and you guys tell me when you get it. Where is it? This is what I'm looking for. Okay. All right. Okay. Here's my cool drawing. This is gonna be fucking stupid. That's not how fucking physical objects work. What should I... There's so much to drawing that I don't even think about. There's so much like perspective and whatever. Art is hard. I'm gonna simplify a little bit just because I'm fucking bad. But I'm better than I was, a month ago, and that guy was better than he was a month before that. So, the constant human journey to self-improve. The goal is to outdo yourself, as they say. Yeah, that's another thing. That's like a piece of advice I've gotten a couple of times, and it's something I've been doing a little bit. Is I bought a sketchbook, just like a crappy little thing, and I just like anytime I have time, I just kind of draw. And one thing that people have told me is that if there's something you're struggling with drawing, you should just draw it over and over and over and over again as best you can, and that's how you get better, which I think is good. And that's the kind of speaking on that subject, is that's the kind of meaningful artistic like training. I guess it's a little bit like as a musician, like sitting down and drilling your scales, right? Sitting down and understanding how keys work and blah blah blah, whatever. That I've just not done with art that I need to do if I hope to improve. And I think I need to start from nothing so that I can learn important skills as they become relevant. I have considered taking art classes. There are like community art classes not far from my house, like walking distance from my house. So I have considered that, and I might do that. I think when I have, because obviously they cost money. I think when I have a little bit more time and a little bit more disposable income, I will definitely just like do art classes, because I think it would be fucking awesome. And I think that's the way to get better. I say this as as a music educator myself, I think that, you know, self-taught is great. There's nothing wrong with self-taught, but there's not really a great stand-in for an experienced instructor who has been to all of the places you've been before and has had to work themselves out of every rut you're going to be in. So I do think I just need to find like an art class and an art teacher that I vibe with. Is there such thing as like private art lessons, like private art tutors? Because that might be the play. Oh man, I might do that. You know, I need to do my art homework. Because I took visual art when I was in high school, and I was fucking horrible at it. I was really bad at it. But I'd always wished I was better at it. But I wasn't yet at the level of maturity to... I wasn't yet at the level of maturity to recognize that I just had to kind of bash my head against that brick wall until I got there, and I never did. And I think as an adult, you begin to appreciate all of the things that you wish that you had been good at. You can be good at if you just do them. And I think I'm definitely in that era with drawing. Amber, welcome to the stream. Amber's name like flashes a special color because you're a channel member. So anytime you send a message, I get like this bright green like not flash, but I get this like bright green like alert on my screen, which is pretty cool. Have I tried to play with other characters? I had a very short, like a 2-week Ken arc, where I played Ken. Because and there's some truth to this, is a lot of people have said like, if you're playing Ryu, particularly Super 1 Ryu, you should kind of just play Ken. And I'm like, yeah, I think that makes sense. So I played Ken for a little bit, and Ken is like stronger than Ryu. If your goal is strictly to win, yeah, play Ken. I just didn't have as much fun playing Ken, was my issue. I never quite vibed with Ken in the way that I vibed with Ryu. So I put him down. I played Chun, actually. The first character I played was Chun. But I didn't, again, particularly enjoy the way Chun-Li played. It's kind of a combination of just her being different than she was in previous games. Or not previous games, actually. I played Street Fighter 4 before I played Street Fighter 3, I think. So I remember, at the very least, I played Chun-Li in Street Fighter 4 before I played Street Fighter 3. So Chun-Li playing differently in... Not like a crazy amount differently, but just Chun-Li playing differently in Third Strike than she did Street Fighter 4. I'd never really gelled with her playstyle either. I just don't particularly enjoy playing characters that are super overtuned. I don't know. And interestingly enough, though, my high school art class wasn't shitty. My high school art teacher was actually a very lovely person. I just hated the class. Yeah, Akuma is definitely a little bit more... Akuma is pretty strong as well. I've never played Akuma because I make too many mistakes. I'm too fucking bad at the game to, like, play at the level where Akuma's low health doesn't really matter because you're using all of his strong shit. Also, I don't think Akuma does enough damage for my liking. One of the things I like about Ryu is the fact that I can do like a 2-hit combo. I can do like Crouch Fierce Tatsu or Crouch Fierce DP. And it's like really good. That's like one of my best combos. And Akuma, I never really liked that. You have to do not super more complex combos. You're still doing quite frequently button DP, but like button light Tatsu, DP, potentially into super was just never something I gelled with. I never really gelled with Akuma. Kind of same with Ken. As I tried Akuma out, again, I never really vibed with his playstyle. I think within Third Strike specifically, Ryu is like the character that fits my playstyle the best. And I'd be shocked if I ever end up not playing Ryu in Third Strike and I end up switching to a different character. But it's possible, you know, anything's possible. But yeah, I've tried a couple of different characters. I think I tried Q at one point. I tried Alex. Just none of them really did much for me. I found Ryu, and he's my character in this game, and he kind of fits everything I want a character to have, with the exception of his whiff punish game is kind of weak. But I can live with that. I can live with a slightly weaker whiff punish game, if it means I get all the cool shit that Ryu has. EX Fireball is the big one. I love Ryu EX Fireball, and I love Donkey Kick. I also just like Shinku as a super more than I like Shippu. I think that's a controversial opinion. I know because a lot of people think Shippu is cool. I think Shippu is cool. But I think that Shinku Hadouken, however one pronounces it. I had somebody tell me that it's actually a sound that we don't have in English for the O part. But I digress. I like Shinku more as a super because I really like the idea of Ryu's signature technique honed to like perfection, and that's his super. I think is really cool. Third Strike, they tried to make Shin Akuma. I think I did know that. I think I had heard about that. Is they had like you can mod him in or something. Yeah, Donkey Kick is awesome. Donkey Kick, I think, was the move that made me fall in love with Third Strike Ryu. Which is funny because I'm actually really bad at the Donkey Kick input. I really struggle, and again, this is a skill issue. This is just something I need to practice. Is I really struggle to do Crouch Fierce into Donkey Kick. I can do Stand Fierce, but the problem is that Stand Fierce is a proximity normal, and you don't always get. You don't always get Stand Fierce, right? You'll get a range where you'd get Crouch Heavy Punch and it would connect, giving you your combo, but you get far Standing Heavy Punch as opposed to Standing Heavy Punch. So, with all that being said, I struggle. I don't use Donkey Kick as often as I would like to, simply because I have yet to sit down and meaningfully practice the Crouch Heavy Punch in a Donkey Kick combo, which leads to me missing some important punishes. But I do love it. It's very cool. Alright, I'm going to try something. And if it looks like shit, then I'm erasing it. No, it's going to look really bad. Let me just... Because I'm trying to give him Goku hair. But I think it would be difficult. Because Vegeta hair, you just make the spine spikier. But I think... I need to go more like vaguely evocative of Goku hair than I need to do like literally just drawing Goku hair. Something like that. I don't know. Does that look like shit? I think I'll just keep it as a normal Mega Starmie. Yeah, lag on Third Strike is a very real issue, and I think Third Strike, one of the issues with playing Third Strike as opposed to like Street Fighter 6 is the fact that it's a relatively niche game in the grand scheme of things. So you can go. A lot of places will have, places that a lot of places can go places. Let me restart that sentence. Let me phrase that a little bit better. A lot of population centers, if you're in a large city or you're near a large city, or you just happen to get lucky with the people around you, will have some sort of meetup that you can go to for Street Fighter 6. A university campus, an arcade, a community center, even less frequent tournaments, or even just like some guy's garage. But so you can go play a Street Fighter 6 like really, not really easy, but you can go find Street Fighter 6 games a decent amount of the time. But compare that to basically any other fighting game, Third Strike in particular, because you can find Smash pretty easily as well, and then sometimes you'll find Strive, or Tekken as well. But any fighting game more niche than those, Third Strike, Melty Blood, KOF, you're really going to struggle to find a local community. And online sucks, just kind of in general. I think that online play is like strictly inferior to offline play, with the sole exception of the fact that online play is more convenient. And yeah, Third Strike, like not being able to go to offline locals for Third Strike, for me is kind of frustrating because I love Third Strike. And I do wish that I had an offline place I could go, because fighting games are more fun in groups with friends, I think. And yeah, if you live in an area where your internet's not very good, like my internet's not very good, to be entirely honest. Um, but people who live in areas where they have it even worse than I do would struggle to, play the game, which is frustrating. Especially if you don't have access to like a wired connection. Alpha 3 is cool. I never played a whole lot of Alpha 3, but I have heard a lot of people say it's their favorite Street Fighter. It always felt kind of weird to me, the Alpha games. They never felt quite right. They always felt a little stubby, and I never quite gelled with the air blocking. But I think they're cool. The guard gauge as well. But it is really interesting to see Street Fighter's answer to like faster paced fighting games like KOF or Guilty Gear or whatever. Bring a laptop to the local and run some 3S. That's honestly not a bad idea. Maybe next month I will say that. I will, although I don't think I have a whole lot of Third Strike players at my locals, but I'll ask. I'll say like, "Hey guys, who wants to, if I bring my laptop, who wants to play Third Strike with me?" That'd be cute. That'd be fun. Because in my experience, I host my locals, so I'm not the venue. We rent a venue, but I'm the TO is what the cool kids call it. And I found in my experience, it's kind of just a matter of if you build it, they will come. Like we had a a tournament where nobody showed up. It was just myself and the owner of the venue, which kind of sucked. But if you host the tournament and you post about it and you like tell, then people like find out about it. People will show up, which I was really happy, because I was really afraid I'd start hosting it and nobody would show up, and it would be a failure and I would cry. But I think that there are quite frequently more, at the very least, Street Fighter 6 players in an area than we tend to assume. So just going like finding a local venue, hall, bar, arcade, community center, university campus that lets you use the space. So maybe if I started running Third Strike, people would show up. You never know. Although I wouldn't count on it. I think Street Fighter 6 is a much safer option. Laptop at the locals is peak. I am forced to agree with you, Amber. The first tournament I ever TO'd for, the first like public tournament I ever TO'd for, that wasn't just like me and my buddies. We had used a PS4 and my laptop. And the problem is that my laptop, when it plugged into a television, it would lag. So the TV would be 30 FPS. So that it was just like unwatchable. So we ended up not doing that anymore. But laptops are good. I know if you can get a laptop where that's not an issue, it's really good. I remember going to, I forget what tournament it was. Pardon me, but it was like one of the reasonably big Canadian tournaments. I traveled a little bit for it. And I think the setup I played on was a laptop. Like it was just somebody's gaming laptop, which I thought was really funny. Also, this song is awesome. Shout out Kevin MacLeod. Third Strike commands are more simple than Alpha 2 or 3. I think the combos, generally speaking, probably are. And maybe that's because I'm dumb and never quite wrapped my head around custom combo. But one of the things I like about Third Strike, at least Third Strike Ryu, is the fact that standing heavy punch Shoryuken is like a good combo that you would actually do. Because there are a lot of characters and a lot of games where you need to know the more complex combos to be doing any kind of meaningful damage. But the fact that as Third Strike Ryu, I can just go like button, special, special, or maybe button, special, super at the very most is awesome. Tekken locals. Yeah, I would play more Tekken if I had Tekken locals, I think. I love locals. For anybody who is an online warrior, because I grow frustrated with fucking Street Fighter, with video games sometimes, where I go like, I hate this game, why do I play this game? But that's because online sucks. For anybody who is an online warrior, find your locals. They're fucking awesome. Or start your locals. Or come to my locals. Dox me and come to my locals. That'd be awesome. What tournaments do you go to? I'm Canadian, so I go to weird Canadian tournaments. Unfortunately, none of the cool ones. None of the cool American ones. I have considered going to EVO. A buddy of mine, when we were at locals a few months ago, I think it was right around the time EVO was taking place, and he said like we should go to EVO. So I might go to EVO like next year, if I have the money and if I have the time. But because I'd like to go to EVO and I'd like to go to more tournaments. I think that in like a weird hypothetical universe, and I'm not counting on this, but I think in a weird hypothetical universe where I'm able to make some kind of meaningful money off of this YouTube channel, I think that I would use that money to go to tournaments. That would be nice. I think it would be nice to go to tournaments, but I'm just so busy and I don't have the money. But that's kind of like a goal, is if the channel ever hits a point where it can kind of sustain itself, like financially, and I can afford to take time off of work to go to tournaments, like to compete, but also like, to make YouTube content. I think that would be really cool. That's like a longer term goal is to go to the point where I can start like doing tournament content, just because I think it would be cool. I'm trying to lean a little bit harder into the YouTube channel, as I'm sure you've all noticed. I'm uploading more often, I'm streaming more often, just because I enjoy it, and I'd like to take it a little bit more seriously. When I first started out, I had the philosophy of like, I never want to make YouTube like a larger part of my life than it was, just super casually, one video a month. But I think as I've grown to enjoy the YouTube more, I think I've grown to enjoy the grind a little bit more as well. And I, would like to become a little bit more engaged with the larger community, because I'm reasonably engaged like with my local community and with certain online communities. But it would be nice to start going to proper tournaments. Anyway, that's not anytime soon, so I'm just kind of rambling. Yeah, I like to be able to travel for tournaments. Would be cool. But it's a bit of an ambition, I think. All right, now for the sky. Actually, let's just do this. Yeah, there we go. Fucking easy. I always forget about the fill tool, because I try to avoid using the fill tool, because a lot of times it leaves these really awkward like blank spots. But it's good. It's not like when I color it in manually, it's any better. Like, look at these. Look how sloppy this is. All right. It's to quote Dragon Ball, to paraphrase the quote from Dragon Ball, it's not often a low-class Starmie like you gets to spar with a Mega Starmie. There you go. That's a good joke, right? You guys think that's really funny? You guys think that's awesome? This is fucking stupid. Why am I like this? What time is it? There's a tournament in Kamloops. Where's Kamloops? Do I know where Kamloops is? Is that in British Columbia? Yeah, British Columbia. I'm so fucking good at geography. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't even know they did tournaments in Kamloops. How big is Kamloops? Population. Oh, okay, yeah. 100,000 people. That's, I don't know why. I thought Kamloops was smaller than that. Yeah. I like going to tournaments. I haven't gone to like a big tournament in years, just because the time and the cost is kind of prohibitive. But I want to start going again, and that'll be eventually. I don't know, when stuff chills and works. Your avatar mustache looks like a pair of balls. It actually is a pair of balls. I'm glad you've noticed. You're actually the first person to notice. Yeah, there's a lot of cool tournaments I'd like to go to. There's one in Moncton, New Brunswick. Or there was one. I don't know if they still do it, but I remember hearing years ago about like a tournament in Moncton, which I think would be cool to go to. Because I feel like all the tournaments here are in Toronto, right? Like, what other tournaments even are there? Is there one in Alberta? Where's Canada Cup? I feel like that's in Alberta, right? Or what am I thinking of? There's for sure a tournament in Alberta. Yeah, okay. Canada Cup used to be called Calgary Cup. It was supposed to be the chef. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you get it. Yeah. There's more tournaments in Canada than you'd expect, but they're all kind of in the exact places you would expect, which makes getting there kind of difficult. Anyway. It's been an hour and a half. My eyes are starting to get a little tired, so I think I'm gonna call it for this stream. But thank you all for coming. Thank you all for putting up with my Mega Starmie fixation suddenly. I just think he's cool. I don't know. I'm Marge Simpson holding the potato. I just think he's cool. I was doing I don't know if I finished this. I started this. Battle for BC takes place in Vancouver. That makes sense. Yeah. Because there's for sure tournaments in Toronto, and there's for sure tournaments in Vancouver. I'm assuming there are tournaments in Montreal, tournaments in Moncton, stuff like that. But there's no tournaments anywhere cool. You know, there's no tournaments anywhere like Clarenville or what other towns are there in Canada? I don't know, whatever. Thank you all for but yeah, anyway, finish that thought is at some point in the future, probably not for a year or so, but I would like to do tournament content at some point. So when work chills out a little bit and I have a little bit more disposable income, I am for sure going to try to go to more tournaments. Mega Starmie. Here's why I did the Mega Starmie stream, and then I'm going to call it, is I was doing the little thing I post, the community post. I have to make a square. So I make the thumbnail, and then I have to make a little square so it fits properly in the community post. And as I was making those, I was like, well, what can I draw? I've already drawn Ryu like working in an easel. I've already drawn Ryu eating crayons. What can I do? And I was just struck with the urge to draw Mega Starmie, and then I was struck with the urge to continue to draw Mega Starmie, so it became a Mega Starmie drawing stream. Hopefully that's cool. Anyway, I have said anyway so many times during the stream. I gotta find a new word. Thank you all for coming. It's been an honor to draw Mega Starmie in all of your presence. I will see you all later. Thank you all for chatting and putting up with my strange Mega Starmie fixation. And I will see you all next time. Keep yourselves healthy, keep yourselves safe, all that stuff, and farewell.